Hello, my name is Michael Huelskemper and I'm in charge of product management at ARRI Lighting. And I would like to welcome you to our seminar, Shine a Light on ARRI Color Science. Be prepared for an in-depth journey about color science and the question, what is the light that makes the best picture? And why this might differ from the experience that we have about light. We at ARRI, we are really passionate about the best picture. And despite modern post-processing gives you a lot of possibilities, it's still the light in the scene that makes the best picture. As a manufacturer of lighting fixtures, cameras and lenses, we're approaching this challenge end to end. And today we would like to share with you our view and also our latest achievements in the subject of color science. Please, I'm handing over now to the technical experts, and please welcome Regine Krämer. She is the head of lighting technology at ARRI Lighting. And Harald Brendel, responsible for image science at ARRI Camera Systems. Regina, may I hand over to you for giving us this introduction to color science?
With pleasure, yes, thanks. And thanks you, Michael, for your introduction. Harald, jetzt geht's nicht weiter. No, I will use this one here. No, okay. Now, let's directly dive into the color science of our LED fixtures, where we would like to explain you the most important features regarding color and color quality, which are the gamut, the meaning of the gamut of the LED fixtures, the importance of the spectral power distribution, the capability of the fixtures to create a large range of different color temperatures, and here we would like to especially concentrate on low color temperatures, the dimming quality, dimming behavior, which is also related to the high-speed operation, then some sentences about color modes and operational modes, and last but not least, the color rendition of the fixture. Now, let's start with the gamut. What is the gamut of a LED fixture? The gamut of a LED fixture simply is the whole amount of colors which directly can be produced by the fixture when you are looking directly into the fixture or when the fixture is illuminating white or neutral gray objects. So here you can see on the right hand the X-ray chromaticity chart. In principle, it contains all colors which can be seen by the human eye. And the highlighted area is here an example of the amount of colors which can be produced by a 6-color light engine. If you see such a gamut of a fixture, it shows you the amount of colors which you can use for effect colors, but also the range of color temperatures which can be principally produced by the fixture. And how is it derived? That's a quite simple process. If you have a 4-color light engine with RGB white, for example, you simply have to measure and to determine the chromaticity coordinates of the base colors, for example, the blue LED, the green LED, the red LED, and the white, and then you're drawing the convex polygon, and all colors which lie inside this area can directly be produced by the fixture. If a LED color here, for example, the white LED, produces a color which is inside this triangle, then it doesn't have any influence on the gamut of the fixture. Now the next slide will show the gamut of a 6-color light engine when you are adding a cyan color, a lime, and an amber color to the RGB colors. And in this case, the amount of colors which can be produced by the fixture is significantly larger. Please note that the gamut of a fixture must not be confused with the gamut of illuminated objects. So it's a really complete different thing. Now you may ask how this gamut of a fixture relates to the color spaces you are using for television and for cinema. Let's have a look at typical color spaces used for television and cinema. The highlighted color space in the center is a standard RGB color space, the sRGB, which is used for high definition television and also by standard computer monitors. This color space is not very large, and as it does not contain many natural object colors, it's regarded as insufficient for digital cinema projection. Therefore, there was introduced the P3 color space, shown with a green triangle, which already is significantly larger. But as also this color space does not contain all colors which can occur in the nature, the latest addition to the color spaces was the Rec 2020 color space, which is used for ultra-high definition television and also for Dolby Vision. And this color space, Rec 2020, contains all natural colors. Just to be complete, there is also shown the Pro-Photo color space with a blue line, but as this color space uses virtual primaries here for blue and for green, which are outside the range of colors which can be perceived by the human eye, this is not a color space which could be produced by any monitor or by any projector, but this is only a big color space which is suitable for color encoding. Now let's compare the gamut of typical 4-color and 6-color light engines with a Rec 2020 for color space, which is used for Dolby Vision. And here you can see that both our ARRI's 4-color light engines with RGB white, and on the right hand, the 6-color light engines can produce most colors of the Rec 2020 color space. But of course, the color space of the 6-color light engine is significantly larger. Now, the gamut of a fixture, which shows you the amount of colors the fixture can produce and you can use for your effects, is an important feature, but it doesn't tell you anything about the color quality of the fixture. For the color quality, you have to look at the spectral power distribution of the fixture. So the next topic, spectral power distributions. The spectrum gives you the information on the one hand about the chromaticity coordinates of the light, and on the other hand about the color quality, about the capability to render colors naturally. If you have a typical RGB white fixture, then you can achieve very high color rendering indices up to 95, 96 with these 4 colors. But there exist different possibilities to create exactly the same chromaticity coordinates with these 4 LEDs. So these examples here show different ways to produce exactly the same chromaticity coordinates of a daylight 5600 Kelvin. If you would use only the RGB LEDs of this 4-color light engine, for example, if you are controlling the fixture in the direct mode and you only select the RGB values, then no problem at all to create exactly this white chromaticity coordinates, but the color rendition in this case would be very poor. It would only be in the range of 30. So this is not a light which makes a natural color rendition. If you want to achieve a good or even a very good color rendition, you also have to use the white LED. And by using the white LED, it's possible to achieve color rendering indices of up to 96 with these 4 LEDs. That's what we are doing in our high CRI mode. On the other hand, if you need maximum punch from your LED fixture, it's also possible to optimize the same 4 colors to maximum output, to maximum luminous efficacy, and by maintaining the color rendering index by a value of, let's say, above 90. And that's what we are doing in our high output mode. Here, the LED mixtures always are optimized to maximum output for a minimum color rendering index of 90. Color rendering index means the capability of the fixture to create the colors as naturally as possible, and I will come to this topic later on. And value of 100 is the maximum and the best value a fixture can achieve. Now, with a 6-color light engine, there are even more possibilities to mix exactly the same chromaticity coordinates. And let's play the same game. If you're only using the RGB LEDs from your 6-color light engine, a little bit, on the left side, again, you only would achieve a CRI and color rendering index of about 30. But by using all 6 colors, you can achieve extremely high color rendering indices of up to 98, 99. And in our high CRI mode, we achieve color rendering indices of 98, 99 for exactly this color temperature 5600 Kelvin. In the high output mode, the mixture also can be optimized for a high color rendering of at least at 90, but the fixture and the mixture is optimized for maximum luminous efficacy and maximum output. And you can see that, so the battery is poor, I think. Okay. On the bottom, you can see that the spectral power distributions look slightly different in each case. And so the spectral power distribution depends really from the way how you mix the light and gives us the information about the color quality. And now, as there are so many possibilities to create exactly the same chromaticity coordinates by different mixtures, we introduced an additional operational mode now and optimized the color mixtures additionally to color rendition with the Alexa cameras. In this case, the color rendering index is a couple of points lower, but the light quality is optimized for best color rendition with ARRI Alexa cameras. So, to sum it up, the spectral power distribution depends from the LEDs which are used in the fixture, the dominant wavelengths and the amount of different colors. There's also always a necessity to have an individual spectral calibration of the fixtures to bring out the best quality. And of course also the proper algorithms have to be used for calibration and for the firmware of the fixture to get out the optimum. And now, the next topic, ultra-low color temperatures. If you want to light a scene with candles or with flames, typical candles and flames have a color temperature typically between 1500 and 2000 Kelvin. And if you need a light which emulates the quality of these candles or of the flames, you not only need a light which is capable to produce exactly the same color, but also the same color quality of the candles and of the flames. The color rendition of a candle, we measured one in our lab some years ago, has a color rendering index of 99 to 100. Maybe you have made the experience that reproducing or producing these colors with a typical 4-color light engine or fixture is capable of producing the same color, but the color quality may be insufficient because many LED fixtures and especially RGB white fixtures are struggling at these ultra-low color temperatures. And the SkyPanel X with its 6-color light engine is creating and producing these ultra-low color temperatures extremely well. The next slide demonstrates on the first hand the capability of the 4-color and of the 6-color light engines to produce a color and the chromaticity coordinates of a candle. try it again. Yeah, no, it works. Here in 4-color light engine, here is a chromaticity coordinate of a typical flame. You have here the color temperature of 1500 to 2000 Kelvin. And as these chromaticity coordinates are inside the gamut, the highlighted area of an RGB white fixture, the RGB white fixture can produce the chromaticity coordinates. But for example, the sky panel C has a high CRI color temperature range beginning at 2800 Kelvin. It can produce this color, but the high CRI range is starting at 2800 Kelvin. Now, completely different, the 6-color light engine is starting with its high CRI color temperature range already at 1500 Kelvin and can cover the range, the color temperature range of flames and candles very well. The next slide shows you the color quality of these lights. On the left hand, again, the candle with its color temperature of 1900 Kelvin, color rendering of 100. More is not possible, and the spectral power distribution. The sky panel C, well, it is starting with its high CRI color temperature range at 2800 Kelvin, can produce even lower color temperatures, for example, by using the extended color control, but CRI is optimized for higher color temperatures above 2800 Kelvin. And here are color rendering indices which are achieved by the sky panel X. It has superior color quality of a CRI with 98 at 2800 Kelvin, still achieving a CRI of 97 at 2000 Kelvin, and a CRI of 95 with a very low color temperature of 1500 Kelvin, which is really a great value. So the sky panel X is capable of reproducing these ultra low color temperatures extremely well. What alternatives would exist for creating these ultra-low color temperatures? With a tungsten incandescent lamp, for example, if you would choose this type of lamp for creating these ultra-low color temperatures, on the one hand, of course, you could use a tungsten incandescent lamp and dim it down. Everybody knows dimming down a tungsten incandescent lamp means the color becomes warmer, the color temperature goes down, but it's also getting darker. And this curve here shows, well, this curve here is showing the relationship between color temperature and brightness. If you dim a tungsten incandescent lamp down to color temperatures below 2000 Kelvin to get the same color of a candle and flame, since the brightness goes down extremely so it's probably not a practical way for creating such very low color temperatures. And for this reason, you probably would use the combination of a tungsten incandescent lamp together with shields. By using a 1.5 CTO together with a tungsten incandescent lamp, you could produce exactly the desired color temperature of a candle, 1900 Kelvin, with a color rendering index of 92. It becomes slightly less by using a shield, but it's still in good quality. But it means about 50% in brightness loss. So you have a tungsten incandescent lamp which already has a low luminous efficacy, and then you're losing another 50% of efficacy. So the resulting luminous efficacy is really poor. And you have a certain expense for handling, because if you are not happy with the resulting color, you have to try another gel and looking if the color does better fit to your application. And this also gives you a static light, and you know the flames and candles, they are changing the brightness and the color temperature. And so by using, for example, the sky panel X, you would have an independent control of brightness and color temperature, and could also create effects by changing or using the effect mode for mimicking the dynamic behavior of the candles and flames. So next topic is the dimming behavior and dimming quality of fixtures. Most LED fixtures come with different dimming functions. There are the linear curve, the exponential curve, the S-curve, the logarithmic curve. By default, our fixtures are using the so-called exponential curve, that's the thick blue one here, and this exponential dimming function is mimicking the eye's logarithmic sensitivity curve. For perceived 50% brightness, it's necessary to have a brightness level and measured brightness level of only 18%. And for perceived, with a human eye, 1% brightness level, it's necessary that the fixture reduces the output to 0.05%, which is extremely low. And this shows that an excellent low dimming quality or excellent low dimming behavior of a fixture requires extremely low light levels. And that's really tough for an LED fixture to achieve, because you have to avoid flicker, you have to avoid color shifts when dimming, and enabling a true dimming down to 0. Let me show this a little bit more technical slide, which shows different dimming technologies of LEDs. And understanding this is also good for understanding what is happening with high-speed situations. If we want to dim an LED, there exist two main dimming technologies. The first one is the so-called pulse width modulation. For this dimming method, the LEDs are always operated at a constant current level, but the LED is switched on and off with a very high frequency. And the on-off ratio directly determines the brightness of the LED. This can be done with a low frequency or can be done with a high frequency. And if the frequency is high enough, there is no flicker risk at all when viewing this light with a human eye or even with a camera. The second dimming technology is the current dimming. For the current dimming, the LEDs are always operated at a constant current, and the current is reduced for dimming the LEDs down, and the current level directly determines the brightness of the LED. And by using this dimming technology, the current dimming, you don't have any flicker risk at all. There are also combined dimming technologies possible. This means combining pulse width modulation with current dimming. Now you may ask, why don't we always use the current dimming technology? Because here you don't have any flicker risk at all. The answer will be given in the next slide, where we compare these different dimming technologies. The left column shows the properties of the pure current dimming. Pure current dimming means it's absolutely flicker-free for all frame rates. Current dimming means that the dimming of the LED fixture is possible. You can dim it down. And this technology with a dimmable high-speed mode is implemented in the SkyPanel X and in the Orbiter fixtures. The low dimming range of this fixture is limited due to limitations in the electronics, and also LEDs make some strange things when operated at really extremely low current levels. Also, the spectral constancy of the pure current dimming is not as perfect as when using the pulse width modulation. That's physics, that the LEDs change the dominant wavelengths when dimming it down, especially green and cyan. Of course, we are compensating for these spectral color shifts, but they occur and lead to slightly different spectral power distributions. But if you need a really flicker-free light, then the high-speed mode with a pure current dimming is the correct choice. On the other hand, a pure pulse width modulation dimming, which is implemented in the SkyPanel C and in the L series of our fixtures, is still flicker-free for frame rates up to 200 frames per second, because we are using a really high frequency of about and more than 30 kilohertz. Also, this pulse width modulation, which is used as our normal mode, is dimmable, but also here the low dimming range is limited, because for dimming down the fixture, the pulses have to become shorter and shorter, and at some point you're reaching the situation where you can't make the pulses even shorter. But the spectral constancy of this pulse width modulation is very good. It's used in our Sky Panel C and in the L series. Now, our electronic guys developed an improved dimming technology, which is implemented in the Sky Panel X and in the orbiter, where they can combine a pulse width modulation with a pure current dimming. And in principle, this method, which is a normal dimming method in the Sky Panel X and orbiter, in principle it's the same as a pulse width modulation, but at the end, at this point where we were running into the limitations with the pulse width modulation, we are continuing and doing the lowest part with current dimming. And with this method, it's possible to improve the dimming behavior significantly. And you can have a look at this at our Sky Panel X at our booth. Now, some words to our color modes. The color modes give you the best freedom to operate the fixture, and we are distinguishing between color modes and operational modes. The color mode, as the name says, with the color mode you can select the color of the fixture, and with the operational mode you can determine the spectral quality. Remember some chapters before that you can produce exactly the same chromaticity coordinates by different spectral power distributions and with different spectral quality. So the operational mode defines the spectrum and the color quality. Now, I don't want here to go through all of our color modes because the time is limited, but please let me say just a couple of words to especially 2 or 3 color modes. The CCT mode and also the X-ray chromaticity mode, I think they are self-complaining, explaining, not complaining, but the HSI mode here has some specialities. HSI mode means that you can select the hue, the saturation, and the intensity. The hue is defined, here is shown in this cone diagram, from 0 degree, and then you go counterclockwise, or also here in the chromaticity chart, counterclockwise through the color circle, and every 60 degree you will get the next base color. It's starting at 0 degree full red, 60 degree yellow, 120 degree green, 180 degree cyan, 240 degree full blue, 300 degree magenta, and then you again reach at 360 degree full red. At 100% saturation, this selected hue is created with the maximum saturation the fixture can produce, depending from the gamut. And if this color is too saturated for your application, you can reduce the saturation, and by reducing the saturation, the color is shifted along a straight line towards the selected white point. For example, here, if you selected yellow, and reduce the saturation, the color is shifted along a straight line towards the selected white point. And the intensity can be controlled additionally as in every color mode. But please note, the exact colors of the HSI mode are not standardized. This means that the same hue and saturation settings between different fixture types with different fixture gamuts or between different manufacturers may lead to different colors. So it's a very intuitive mode, and also I love this mode very much for selecting colors. But if you need exactly defined colors, then please use the X-ray chromaticity mode instead. Then the RGB or RGB ASL mode. With the RGB ASL, RGB amber, cyan and lime mode, or the so-called direct mode, as the name says, you can directly control the individual colors. You have a direct control for the LED mixture. And the resulting color depends, in this case, from the LED wavelengths, from the brightness of these LEDs used in your specific fixture, and therefore, and also the resulting color quality depends from the user mixture. Now, if you, for example, are selecting 100% red, 100% green, and 100% blue, please do not expect that the color creates white in this case, because what you are doing here is you are selecting the red LEDs at 100%, the green LEDs at 100%, and the blue LEDs at 100%. So the same, and in this case, it could happen that, well, I can't see it, that the resulting color is resulting in the chromaticity coordinates shown here with a small yellow star. And also here's the same setting between different fixtures and fixture types or fixture manufacturers may lead to completely different colors. But if you want to do anything specific and create a certain spectral power distribution which is not offered by any operational mode, this might be a great possibility for you to have the full control about any LED colors. Now, if you expect to get white and white light for this color selection, you should choose the calibrated RGB mode. This mode works completely different because here the input is interpreted as a target chromaticity when using the Kodak Profoto color space. And then the fixture is doing the color mixture automatically depending from the chosen operational mode, for example, high CRI, high output, Alexa mode, whatever. And in this case, 100% red, green and blue exactly will result in the selected white point. You have also the possibility to use the channel white, but the input of white is optional. It's fully sufficient to use the RGB values to get or to define the chromaticity coordinates. But if we like to also use white, then also the input of white is interpreted as the chromaticity coordinates of the selected white point. And so you will get exactly the same color and brightness and color quality if you choose 100% red, green, blue, or only 100% white, or 100% red, green, blue, and white, because it's always interpreted as a chromaticity coordinate, and then the spectrum and output is calculated by this chromaticity coordinates. Now, finally, color rendition. The general principle of color rendition is that the color rendering index or any color rendering index gives you an indication how naturally the fixture can produce illuminated colors. The principle is always the same. You have a set of test colors shown here. You are illuminating the set of test colors with a reference illuminant. The reference illuminant is defined as an illuminant which has the same color temperature and the same brightness as your fixture. And this might be a Planckian radiator or a daylight phase, depending from the color temperature of the fixture. Then these colors are illuminated by the reference illuminant, and how the colors look under the reference illuminant is defined as perfect. Then the same set of test colors is illuminated with a fixture, and you're comparing color for color, the differences in brightness, hue, and chroma between the reference illuminant and the fixture. Ideally, there are no color differences and no brightness differences at all, and in this case, you have a color rendering index of 100. And the bigger the color differences are, the smaller the resulting color rendering index. The numbers are no percent. There doesn't exist a color rendering index of 50%, it's just a figure. And there exist lots of different color rendering indices. Short overview, and that's also my last slide, is given here. On the left hand, there are the color rendering indices when viewing the situation with the human eye. The left one is a CRI, color rendering index. It's a pure fidelity index calculated for viewing the situation with the human eye and is derived as from the average color deviation of 8 pastel colors. There exists in the meantime a more modern color rendering index, that's the RF value according to TM3020, which uses much more modern color science. It's also a fidelity index, but it's calculated by using a set of 99 test colors and, as already said, using more modern color science. Maybe you have heard about the CQS value, that's the color quality scale value developed by the NIST, but this value is not yet standardized. But in contrast to the other two indices, this index is also taking into account the preference of humans, because if a color has an increased chroma, doesn't make it more natural, but is usually preferred by humans. And this index is calculated by a set of 15 test colors. Now, you're probably more interested in the color rendition when viewing the situation or capturing the situation with a camera. But for cameras, there is only one index so far standardized. This is a TLCI, television lighting consistency index, or also the television lighting matching function. From the IBU, it's a fidelity index which does use a spectral sensitivity function of a typical broadcast camera, and it's calculating the color fidelity for a typical broadcast camera and a set of 21 test colors chosen from the Macbeth color checker. Unfortunately, the spectral sensitivity of a typical broadcast camera is different to the spectral sensitivity of a typical cine-style camera. But for a typical cine-style cameras, there doesn't exist any color rendering index so far. We at ARRI are using our internal ARRI Alexa index, where we are calculating the color fidelity by using the spectral sensitivity of our ARRI cameras and the ARRI reveal color science, and using a very large test color set. Now, besides these color rendering indices for the human eye and for cameras, there also exists the spectral similarity index from the AMPAS. This index is neither a fidelity nor a preference index. It neither uses a camera nor an eye model, and it doesn't use any test color set. It just is calculating the average deviation from the spectral power distribution from the reference illuminant, and therefore is a kind of confidence factor. But now let's concentrate on the color rendition with our Alexa cameras, and for this I would like to hand over to my colleague Harald.
Thank you, Regine. So wow, that was a lot of stuff, huh? That's normally my part, lots of diagrams and figures. Today I have it easier. I will just show you a series of images which we photographed using different lighting fixtures. Let's first start with the daylight situation. We consider to use daylight, but daylight has the disadvantage that it really depends on the weather, right? So we asked our colleagues to give us 2 hand-picked HMI fixtures, which will have a best possible color rendering index and are the best approximation of daylight possible. So they gave us 2 D12, and we fitted them with a Chimera light box to make the light distribution similar to the sky panels. But we are aware that obviously a D12 with a Chimera and a sky panel, they have still somewhat different light distribution. Then we had obviously a sky panel X in both modes, the high CI mode and the Alexa mode. And we also had in sky panel S60C. We measured the color temperature of this HMI. It came out with 5,560 Kelvin, so perfect match actually, almost to 5,600. And then we adjusted the sky panels, so we just didn't use the presets, but we adjusted them carefully to match exactly the same figure for comparison. The Alexa 35s, though, we used with the default white balance for 5,600. So then we photographed a larger set of objects, but and then we picked a few where we would see nice differences. So you will not always see that kind of color shifts here. So let's start with those objects here illuminated by HMI and now illuminated with the sky panel X in high CI mode. It's again HMI and sky panel X in high CI mode. Once more. So now I go to the sky panel X in Alexa mode. Going back to high CI mode and again Alexa mode. So you see it reverses some of the color shifts you have seen when we went from HMI to the high CI mode. So now I show you HMI versus Alexa mode. Okay? So these are 3 colors I picked from the objects. In the bottom row, that's one color patch, the wider one. So that's the color you would get out of an Alexa encoded in the logc4 file when you illuminate with HMI. And above, you have the colors picked at the same location in the image when you illuminate the objects now with the sky panel X in either high CI mode on the left side or with the ARRI Alexa mode on the right-hand side. So you see that brings you closer to the colors you get with HMI light. And the reason for this is that cameras don't see the spectral sensitivity of the red, green, and blue channels, or of the red, green, and blue pixels on the sensor. There is not the same as the spectral sensitivities of the cones in your eye. And that's why cameras, the translation of spectral information into RGB values will not yield the same result, or not a result which can be easily transformed into numbers which represent our color perception. And at the same time, the high CI mode is an optimization for the human eye. And the Alexa mode is now an optimization for the Alexa camera. And that makes more sense with a 6-channel lighting fixture because you simply have more degrees of freedom. I show you now a few faces which we've photographed with similar conditions. You see here 3 different talents representing different skin types, illuminated by HMI, photographed with the same camera. And now I switch to the high CI mode and back to HMI and high CI mode. Okay. Now I switch from high CI mode to Alexa mode. The differences are more subtle than with the object colors, but still visible. High CI, Alexa. Now I switch between Alexa mode and HMI. And then I go to these S60. So that's HMI, and that's the S60. Here is an overview. The 3 images in the bottom row are the same. This is the talent photographed with HMI light, so that you can compare it with the Sky Panel X in Alexa mode on the left, the Sky Panel X in high CI mode in the center, and the Sky Panel 60C on the right-hand side. So this is the type of color shifts you could experience with skin colors. Oh no, please keep the lights down. Thank you. This is our other talent. And then our third one. Okay. Now we went to an incandescent light situation. No, please, light off. There are coming more images. Thanks. For the incandescent light situation, we used a tungsten fixture, obviously, and we controlled it with a dimmer so that we could change the color temperature of the tungsten. So again, also we put a Chimera light box on the tungsten, on the T2, to get a similar light distribution. And when we measured the tungsten at 100%, it had a color temperature of 3100 Kelvin. And then we dimmed it down so that it has 2800 and finally 2400 Kelvin. And then again, these same sky panels, always matched in color temperature. Here we left the camera at a white balance of 4300 Kelvin. Because normally when you shoot with tungsten, you want to have a warm look, or especially, as you will see, we combined this with candles. And obviously, if you would balance to 3200 or even the lower color temperature, then it would look neutral. It's not what you normally want to achieve. So here you see now our first talent illuminated by tungsten at 3100 Kelvin. There are also, as you see, some candles in the image, and you could say, for example, that obviously this light is still too coolish to look like candlelight, but still let's look at the comparisons. So this is the tungsten, and now we switch to the Sky Panel X in high CI mode, and you see there's a very good match in these skin colors. Tungsten and high CI. Now when I switch to Alexa mode, there is much less of a difference than we had seen in the daylight examples. Let's really very subtle. That's the Alexa mode, and that's the high CI mode. And here again, tungsten now compared to the Alexa mode. And now I switch from tungsten to the S60. And you can compare those two. Okay. Here again the tungsten situation and the S60. Something is duplicated here. Okay. So here, a final comparison of the same talent under 3100 Kelvin illumination. In the center is tungsten. On the left-hand side, the sky panel X, and on the right-hand side, the S60. So now we dimmed down the tungsten to reach a lower color temperature. And that obviously does not only make the light warmer, but also darker. So we had to compensate for this by changing the ISO setting of the camera, which now obviously also changes the balance between the face and the candles. That's obviously the big advantage of a digital lighting fixture, that you can control brightness and color temperature independently. But still, so here we have our face illuminated by tungsten with a color temperature of 2800 Kelvin. And now we switch to the sky panel X in high CI mode. And we still see a very good match of these skin tones. Right? So now I go to the Alexa mode. And the point is, the lower the color temperature becomes, the less possibilities you have to keep the color temperature, but at the same time optimize it for anything else. And that's why the differences between the high CI and the Alexa mode, they become less and less the lower the color temperature is. And it's probably similar at the upper end, but we didn't try this. So I admit this is not much here. And now we have the S60 again. And you see now there is much more difference now between the reference light and the S60. And not only is there a color shift, it's also that the tonality is not as rich. Yeah? There are not as many colors in her face like with the reference light. And that is the lower end of the S60's color temperature range, which you can have a high or at least a good CRI of 90. Oh, it's the limit here. So here again, all examples. In the center is the reference light, and then the two digital lights are on these sides. So now we went even further and dimmed it down to 2400 Kelvin, which makes it really dark. And we had to gain the image quite a lot to bring it back to the previous level. And by gaining it so much, you couldn't even set this on the camera, but obviously in post you can gain it as much as you want. That's why the noise level comes up considerably here, and that also makes this loss of contrast here. But still, we can compare the color rendering. So here's our face illuminated by a dim tungsten at 2400 Kelvin. And now I go to the sky panel X, and you see it's a very good match at this low color temperature. And now also really the face looks like illuminated by candles. And here at that color temperature, there is really not much of a difference between those two modes. And there is now a 60 here because you can't set it to that low color temperature in the normal mode. We did this also with the other talents. I show you now a shortened version of it. We will release this material. You can have it and study those images by yourself. But for now, just let me show you all three talents in parallel. 3100 Kelvin, switching to high CRI mode. Alexa Sky Panel X in high CRI mode. See, very good match. And a subtle difference between the high CRI and the Alexa mode. And finally, the comparison between Alexa mode and tungsten. And now the switch to the S60. And then the same for 2800 Kelvin. Tungsten, high CI mode. Not much difference, almost none to the very small to the Alexa mode. Here now the comparison between Alexa mode and tungsten. And again, the S60. Sorry. And then finally, tungsten at 2400 and switching between. And remember that the tungsten, that the lack of contrast is because of the high amplification, because the image gets so dark. And also when you look at the spectral output of the fixture at that color temperature, you see there is almost no difference between the two modes. Because you still want to keep 2400 Kelvin, right? Okay. Our summary here is so that the Sky Panel X in combination with the Alexa 35 shows an improved color rendition compared with the S60 with skin and object colors. We have a very good match to tungsten light at 3200 and lower color temperatures. The Alexa mode improves color reproduction of certain objects compared to the high CI mode. And we have more subtle improvements of the Alexa mode with skin colors. So that's the end of my presentation. And I think we have time for questions. There is one. I think we have some. It was.
Thank you. I have a question. Like, let's imagine we have a 4 LED light, like the Sky Panel S60, and we want to imitate like the candlelight. And as we know now, the low temperature mode is not that good in the really low mode with the S60. Wouldn't it be better to have like just the R LED like in a RGB mode, and why it's not better, like compared to the low temperature mode with just like a 4 LED light?
You mean to use it in RGB mode and then only use R?
Kind of like obviously with trying to get to this color, but as I understood, like if we choose like a color which is close to the LED itself, it delivers a good, like a quality light. But with the low temperature mode, it's not so good because we are not close enough with the S60. So is there a chance with RGB to get closer, because the red LED is like closer from the color to the S60?
So do you mean by using only the RGB LEDs, by controlling it with in the direct mode?
Kind of. I know that it's not better, but I'm wondering why it's not better. Like
by controlling it in the RGB mode, if you're using the direct mode and are using the RGB LEDs and not the white LEDs, you can create exactly the chromaticity coordinates which are produced by a candle or a flame, but the color rendition is very poor. And for these low color temperatures, you have only the red and the green and a little bit of the blue LED, but the white LED brings you a certain continuum, which is improving the color rendition a lot. So you always should use the RGB mode in the calibrated mode if you want to get out a higher quality of the light. No.
It's not bad, it's just that the Skype panel X is better.
Yes, yes. The 60C has an excellent color quality for color temperatures above 2600, 2800 Kelvin. If you are using the extended color control or the tungsten mode or the RGB white mode to achieve extremely low color temperatures, those of a candle of 1900 Kelvin, then the color rendition goes down. That's the case, and that's also the reason why we limited the official color temperature range of the Sky Panel C to values above 2800 Kelvin. That's exactly the reason. You can use it for effects and so on, of course, but if you want the best color quality, then it's better to use a 6-color light engine as used in the Orbiter or the Sky Panel X.
Perhaps, I mean, as she explained in this diagram, you can always set the S60. You can generate in direct RGB mode, you can generate obviously the color of a candle at as low as, I don't know, 1800 Kelvin or 1500 Kelvin. But when you use this light to illuminate something, you will have not the same result as if you illuminate it with true candlelight.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yes, so the color rendition goes down, and the better option is still always using the calibrated RGB mode, because then the fixture makes out the best it can. And if you're using only the RGB LEDs for a high quality light, that's not what we recommend. You can use it for effects and so on, the RGB mode, the direct mode. But then you have to be careful for which application.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in the extreme situations, if there's going to be a shift, but as understood, it's always better with the other. Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. This gentleman.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very interesting. I'm assuming that you were using the ARRI log-C4 output transforms for these experiments.
Yes.
Could you say something about what the effect would be if you were to use, say, an ACES pipeline? Would it be changed in any way or not affected?
I think the relative differences would be the same. I mean, the overall appearance of the images would change something, but the relative differences, they would be similar.
Not affected. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, no, you have already for a while. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I think it's quite impressive what you achieved with the Sky Panel X. But one thing I noticed is the girl with the nose ring. She had a little scratch or something on her left cheek, and it was coming out with the Sky Panel X and not with the tungsten. It was like it was amplified. So I was just wondering, it wasn't the same with the 60C.
Do you mean here?
If you compare the tungsten with the Sky Panel X.
Should you use a slide with an overview? Tungsten versus Sky Panel X and
Perhaps.
And I know tungsten is, of course, very hard to compare with, but
The model we used was a trained actress, but you have to understand there is minutes that are between these takes.
Yeah.
She's doing as good of a job as she can to maintain her composure, but a lot of time has changed. And part of the spectral response that you're seeing is you're saying is
So do you mean this part here, or?
yeah, I just noticed that on her left cheek, it was like this little scratch she has. It just pops a little bit more. And of course, if there's time between and stuff can happen, I know. But it just...
Ah, you mean this one here?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay. Phew. Yeah, that's a...
It feels like it's popping a little bit more with this Sky Panel X.
No. I...
It'd be hard pressed to make that happen if we wanted to.
I mean, obviously, you know, there is time between those because we had to rebuild the illumination. They went back to makeup. Oh, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, but it looks really good. It was just...
No, I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, it looks really good. It's just something that came to my mind. I was wondering. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Another question?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Very impressive. I would like to know, like when you referred to the Alexa mode, you probably referred to the Alexa 35. I would like to know how much the classic Alexa profits from this new Alexa mode.
It profits also. The spectral sensitivities between the Alexa 35 and the Alexa is not so different. So the optimization we do for the Alexa 35 will also help with the Alexa. We didn't want to include another mode because the differences would have been really, really small.
Okay.
I have a third mic up here.
Yeah.
So in a specific situation, if I would have a big tungsten unit and if I would turn it off completely, there's a specific delay and in terms of color temperature and also the dimming curve, if I would just turn it off during the shot. So from what I understood, I could get closer now to this behavior with the extended color temperature range. And also if I would choose the specific dimming curve. What I mean by that, it's that if I would go...
To mean the behavior over time, to mimic, if you switch off on tungsten incandescent, then it needs some about on half a second during the light goes down and the color temperature gets warmer, and exactly this dimming behavior or this tungsten afterglow, how we call it, is already implemented in the Sky Panel C as well as in the Sky Panel X. If you have 100% light and you switch it off in the tungsten mode, then exactly this behavior over time regarding brightness and color temperature is implemented in both fixtures already, and it's the same when switching it on. For this we measured 2 kilowatt tungsten incandescent over time and implemented exactly the same behavior over time. And both fixtures can produce the color and brightness over time when for the afterglow and power on behavior. And the color quality at very low light levels is even improved in the sky panel X. The lowest color temperature of the sky panel C for using the tungsten afterglow curve is 1600 Kelvin, because at this color temperature there is nearly no light output anymore of a tungsten incandescent lamp.
Okay.
Did this answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. And we also implemented new tungsten dimming curves in the sky panel X by measuring tungsten dimmers. They come with linear curve, S-curve, and exponential curves. And these different tungsten dimmer curves are also implemented in the sky panel X now. You can select between different dimming functions, not only the exponential S function and so on I presented before, but also the different tungsten dimming curves.
Just to elaborate further what was just asked about the Alexa mode, would you then recommend that as long as you use a sky panel X and any ARRI camera or any digital camera at least, you should use the Alexa mode, like if it's a mini, an LF?
Yes, and it depends. So the Alexa mode is important if you mix it with the reference light, for example. Yeah, if you have a daylight scene and you want to brighten up, I mean, those differences I've shown you. We showed them sequentially. If you illuminate only with one fixture, then obviously you could always compensate small deviations in color grading, right? That's easy to do. If you mix light, then it becomes really important that it matches. So if you have, say, tungsten light and a sky panel, or daylight and a sky panel, then this Alexa mode is important. If you mix different digital lights, like a sky panel with some other manufacturer, probably for now, until I have some tests, I would stay with the high CI mode, because every manufacturer tries to achieve a high CI. So they will probably have a better match if you use the high CI mode.
Okay, thank you.
First off, thanks so much for the presentation. I really appreciate these side-by-side comparisons. It's really, really helpful to see the difference. I guess my main question is, I'm assuming all the light fixtures use diffusion, the sky panel X, everything. Do you notice any color shift between the different types of diffusion? Because I guess if I was comparing them, I would use the same exact type of diffusion, because the Chimera, of course, the diffusion might be slightly different than that, or do you think that's negligible?
Well, it might. As I said, we used it always with the same Chimera box.
I guess, I mean, if you use a Chimera box with, say, HMI or tungsten light, but then you move that out of the way and you put a sky panel and you have diffusion in the sky panel, that's a totally different diffusion. So maybe there's a difference in the, like a slight shift between the two diffusions. I guess that's where I'm getting at. Or the Chimera has a little bit of a color cast from the reflective surface on the inside.
Yes, but if you notice some differences in the color temperature caused by the diffusion, you always have the possibility to adjust the color temperature or go with the extended color control to compensate exactly for these color shifts. So you always have the possibility to match the colors.
I mean, when you look here, or perhaps even more here, you see just that, you know, there is also a slight change of shadows and gloss. Yeah, there is a color shift, but there is also a change in shadows and gloss, and that's the different diffusion you get from a sky panel and from a D12 with a Chimera.
Okay, great. I think I was just being really picky.
No, it's not the same. That's yeah. I just want to point at this slide again. If you, as I said, we will make available this presentation with all the images on different modes. If you go there and leave, you need to register and leave your email, because we will need a while to prepare this, and then we will. You can later then have it and study it on your own, because I know it's a lot of comparisons and.
It's not available yet, but will be available soon.
So you can already go there, leave your email, and then you will get notified when it's ready.
Are there any further questions? If not, then I would like to thank you, Regine and Harald, for guiding us through the topic of color science, and I would like to thank you for participation.
Yes, thank you.
The active Q&A. We as ARRI wish you still a very nice remaining camerimage and would like to stay in touch. Thank you very much.